You're listening to the Griffin Sports Insider Podcast, live from Hi-Ho Bar and Grill in St. Joseph, Missouri. It's our live weekly chat with Missouri Western coaches and athletes. Here's your host for the Griffin Sports Insider Podcast, Tommy Rezach.
What was that like putting that show together?
Yeah, it was a jam-packed week. We were at several events, both put on by like admissions and activities, and then also athletics as well. Putting cheer and dance together is kind of it's an interesting collaboration. Cheer does some dancing, but it's not quite the same. And then, of course, dance is a different type of movement. And then we have stunting with cheer and all those things. So it's just about working the visuals together. And I think both teams did a great job of really showing their strengths and also coinciding with one another in a great way to help bring that like high energy, athletically challenging performance.
Yeah. For our audience, and especially for our fans that aren't as familiar with how Spirit splits up dance and cheer, how would you break that down? How would you kind of explain that to people that want to learn more and want to get into that?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked. So Spirit is kind of like its mini department in a way. So Spirit is kind of the major umbrella, and we have three teams. We have Max, the mascot, Griffin. We have the cheer team, Griffin Cheer, and then we have Griffin Dance Team. And we all come together to make one cohesive Spirit program. So sometimes that looks like collaborative performances. Most of the time, we are three separate operating teams. We are just kind of part of one Spirit passion, one Spirit family type of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, speaking of Spirit and just in general, like I mentioned, you're first-year head coach here, and our audience necessarily hasn't gotten the chance to fully get to know you, and you're a former collegiate dancer, former All-American, I saw as well. Where did that passion come from, and how did you get into that realm of wanting to go on and eventually become a coach?
Yeah, it actually wasn't something that I had thought about all my life. Dance was always part of my life. I grew up as a competitive dancer on my high school. I'm from Texas, so drill team is kind of more of a thing down there with like the boots and the hats and the high kicks and things. So I did that. I did competitive dance all my life. And I went to Texas Women's. That's where I got my undergrad and my master's degree. And I remember there was a specific point where I joined that team, and that was the first team at that school, and I was the first captain, and I just really felt that that passion for growing something. And so I just ended up staying there for 8 years, growing to be graduate assistant and then assistant coach. And I was thankful enough to walk away with a national championship this past year from that. And so I'm just excited to bring that energy and that sense of growth and passion here.
Yeah, you mentioned Max the Griffin. I noticed, and towards the beginning of the year, you started up a social media page for him, giving Max a presence on social media. What is incorporating Max and incorporating that mascot meant to the Spirit Squad as well?
Yeah, I mean, we love Max. I think it's really easy for people to, people either are terrified of mascots or they think they're really cool. But I'd say 80% of people think that they're awesome. So I just wanted Max to have a bit more of an identifiable voice and more of a character and presence on campus. Admissions has been partnering with us to do that, and very thankful for them. But it means a lot to a Spirit program. It gives kind of a unifying face between athletics and the university itself, kind of all of us centering around this one symbol. And so I think that Max is a great presence to have and a great voice, and also just a great support for all the sports we have. Yeah,
make sure if you are not following Max Griffin on social media, make sure you check him out to keep up with all that he is doing across campus. And like you mentioned, just bridging that gap between the athletic department and the rest of the campus, bringing that whole community together here in St. Joseph, Missouri. Is there anything you'd like to shout out, especially Max Griffin, following that on social media, and anywhere anybody in the audience can find the Spirit team as well?
Yeah, our Instagram is MWSU Griffin Spirit. That's where we post most of our cheer and dance content. We collaborate with Max some of the time, but usually Max is his own voice. And then should I also shout out events coming up? Is that also part of this?
For it. Yeah.
So we're at most athletic events. We're also part of lots of community things. We try to support one way or another. Sometimes it's performing. Sometimes it's just attending and bringing our palms and being there as a support, but we also compete as well. That's a big passion of mine, obviously, coming off of a championship win, trying to bring that energy and that passion for our sport as well, because we are athletes as well. So Cheers competing in December 7th in Columbia, Missouri, and then we are all competing virtually through DTU nationals, or virtual championships, I should say, in March. And then for the first time, which is really exciting, this program is traveling to Daytona Beach, Florida to compete at NDA Nationals. So that's in April, and we're very excited for that.
Well, we are all looking forward to that as well. Thank you again, Emily, our first-year head spirit coach, Miss Emily Jensen. We will be right back after this quick break, following up some more of our teams. Thank you, Emily.
Thank you.
Welcome back to the GSI Podcast. I am once again your guest host for this week, Jason Holland, and right now I am joined with head cross-country coach Sean Goswich and also one of our star runners, Weemach. Big weekend, especially on homecoming weekend. We had our first home event of the year and came home with a win on the men's side, and that is the first win from the men's side team win since 2022. And I got to ask, especially starting with you, Weemach, I mean, you've been here for a while, kind of seeing the ups and downs and the growth of this program over the past little bit. And great beginning of the year. How does that feel from your point of view, seeing the growth?
I mean, it's a confidence booster, like knowing that we have the ability to win, and then especially doing it at home during homecoming. And then obviously like having Pal like be our spearhead and take the win himself, and then ringing the bell, because that's a hard thing to do in our sport, because it's not like a win or loss. It's either you get first, second, third, whatnot. So I mean, it's a rare opportunity to have, but I'm glad we did it.
Yeah, you taking second, and of course you mentioned Pal taking first of that event. But Goose, I do also want to ask you, coming into this and seeing that immediate success, having two individual winners and one team win going so far early in this season, what is your point of view, and kind of what are your thoughts on that going in?
Sure. I mean, anytime you win, a win's a win, right? You can't be disappointed with it. I'm always a bit of a grump on things, so I always find things that we need to work on, right? I'm not just going to ride this high all week. Got to get right back to work. So, good things happen, but everything that matters has to take place in October and November. So just get back on that horse and keep driving in the right direction.
Yeah. And what does that work look like, especially from a sport where, to be honest, in my point of view, I was never a runner, and I kind of saw running as a punishment whenever it came to sports. And I know a lot of people do. What does that work look like during those off times, and especially we have a little bit of a break between here and now. What does that off time work look like, and how do you get after it?
Sure. I mean, at this time of the year, we're definitely, the intensity has been raised, and it will continue to be up as we go into those championship races. At some point over the next couple of weeks, the volume's going to come down a little bit. We are going to start some kind of taper going into championship season, just so we feel fresh, feel good, and ready to go. So a lot of intensity, still a decent amount of volume, but that'll come down over the next week or two.
Yeah. And with the weather changing, especially the rain, and as it gets colder, how does that impact your bodies, and especially Weemach, coming from you, how does that impact the training, your bodies, and the overall recovery?
I mean, the weather's not that bad. Everyone's in the same conditions. Like, I like how with our sport, it kind of starts off like hot because we're coming out of like August and whatnot, and then the later we get down, like the colder it gets. But that's something that you just got to prepare because it's going to arrive and whatnot. Yeah, I mean, really for the recovery and whatnot, I think we have all the tools that we do need, like being able to run in the gist if we need to, the treadmills and whatnot. There's always ways to, or even just getting outside. Like today I ran this morning. It was raining. That's just what we got to do.
So we're not going to see you out there in Carhartt jackets. We're not going to see you out layered up for the winter. Don't need all that.
Nah.
And also, like, kind of getting into, I know I asked Emily in the previous segment as well, and I kind of want to know this from our coaches and guests this week. Again, running is one of those things that a lot of people look at and kind of question just from a general standpoint, but obviously both of you all are very passionate about it, very passionate about that side of sports. What was that like? How did you end up coming into finding running as a passion or an enjoyment for y'all? And I'll start off with Weemach, and then we can go to Goose.
Growing up, I played soccer like a lot of people, and I just noticed like later in the game, like I was not tired, and then that kind of transitioned to like me playing basketball too. It would be fourth quarter, and I just wouldn't be tired. And at first, when you're young, like you don't think running's a sport. You think that's just something that you do. And I remember like doing like a fitness test or whatnot in grade school, and then they told me about cross country. I was like, what's that? And then they pretty much just explained it as distance running. I was like, that's probably something I should do. Like, yeah, it was just, trial and error, just trying different stuff. And then eventually you find your own path and what you're good at and where you can go far at.
Yeah. And now to Goose, obviously there's an added component of that, wanting to end up coaching that as well. How did you find your way into it?
Sure. I wasn't good at other sports, so running was kind of there for me. And it helped kind of build an identity for myself as I went along through life. I found a lot of joy and sorrow in it, but that's sport, right? So really, I just kind of wanted to share the way it made me feel, share the joy it brought me with others, create those great memories for others, create that positive experience. That's what drove me to kind of coach something that had always been there for me.
Yeah, and obviously had a lot of success so far this early in the season, but still a little bit left. Like you said, you fight for that October, November, that latter stretch of the fall. What are those goals going forward, and how do y'all as a team look to accomplish those? How do y'all look to work towards some of those goals that you have?
Sure. I mean, when it comes to conference, it's great to have individuals do good things, but we've got to show up as a team. So that'll be the big component for us. The higher we place, the better. It's a tough conference. There's some nationally ranked teams in our as there is in every sport in this conference, right? So we've got a lot of work to do ahead of us, and really all we can do is keep performing well as a team, keep training together the way we have to perform well as a team.
Yeah. And then Weemach, what kind of goals do you have individually, both as a runner, but maybe as a team as well, and kind of having those cohesive goals?
I would say for me, the team goal is more important. All of us showing up on the same day. Me individually, it's just doing my job. I'm a guy that's an older guy, let's be real, and I have a certain expectation of where I need to be, and I'm not scared to, my goal is to rise up to that expectation even better. Maybe I can get top 10, who knows?
Maybe top 10. I mean, a top 2 finish this past time, placing second, but also right in front of you was your teammate, Pal Valderrama. What has his impact, especially I believe he's ranked 5th in the nation in Division II runners right now, and of course a high Central Region ranking for the team and individual. What impact has he had? We had him on the show earlier, and he mentioned his goals nationals. I assume that's the team goal as well. What's it been like running with him from a team standpoint?
Guy's a specimen, man. He just gets after a certain way, and even. I mean, he just doesn't settle, but it's a good way. He's very humble in his aspect, and he wants to see everyone win, whether you're our first man or our last man. He's just a guy that loves getting after it and genuinely enjoys the sport.
Yeah. Now, coming from the women's side of cross country as well, a third-place finish at home during homecoming weekend. What does that look like going forward, especially that 2-week break? Obviously, looking to improve and go into the postseason hot and looking for that advancement spot into regionals.
Sure. I mean, the women are on a good path right now. They've done better as a team all year this year compared to last year. Moving forward, just climbing those ranks in the conference, that's going to be big for them. Individuals like Abby Kinney, see her finish as high as we can, see what that looks like. And then as the women's team, 5 freshmen, put them on the line, that's tough. They've learned a lot of hard lessons early this year, but they've come together really well as a team. And that's what it's all about in October.
Yeah. And then finally, for anybody that is new to the sport of running, we just see the finishes. And I know whenever I came in, I wasn't 100% sure how the team finishes and team rankings worked. Would one of y'all care to explain that to our audience so they can keep up with it and keep up with the live stats and scores during those, how they calculate team finishes versus individual?
Sure. So they use the first 5 runners to cross the line. You can run an unlimited amount, but they'll only score the first 5 that cross. And essentially, where you finish is the score you bring to your team. So if somebody like Powell finishing number 1, he's only adding 1 point to the team. Weemach number 2, that adds up to 3 for our team so far. And so they add up those front 5, and then kind of like golf, lowest score wins.
Okay, so we're looking for the lowest score in running as well as the lowest time. Once again, we've got a couple weeks off for cross country, but we wish both of you all the best of luck for the rest of the season as well as the women's team. We will take a short break, and then afterwards we'll have another group of our coaches and athletes on the show. This is the Griffin Sports Insider Podcast. Welcome back to the GSI Podcast. We still got a great show ahead of us, and right now I am joined by some of our folks from the women's soccer team. I'm joined by head coach Jake Plucker, as well as junior Ava Smith. Big weekend, homecoming weekend, like every team had. 2 wins, 2 shutouts at that, one ending in a win, and then one ending in a tie. Yeah. I mentioned 2 wins. Yeah, one in a tie and one in a win. But 2 shutouts, 5th of the year. I mean, that's a big deal, especially starting off the season strong. Still, knock on wood, I'm a superstitious person, but lossless. And what does that mean to start out the season? I mean, yeah, another big year.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think it's one of those where we put a lot of pride in our defense and in our back line. And, I think it's shown with kind of who we've graduated, but we don't let that drop, and with who we've recruited, who we've kind of built up and developed, and kind of the chemistry that we formed with our back line, and having multiple players who are capable of stepping in and helping out. Obviously defense wins championships. So, we want to be sound there. We want to be strong. And I think, again, that next kind of step and that next evolution is being able to have that build and kind of go and help in the attack a bit more. We've tweaked some things up from the past where, our outside backs are getting up into the attack more and applying pressure a bit more. So, very pleased with how we've started the season.
Yeah. You mentioned defense wins championships, and that seemed to hold true while I'm upstairs directing the broadcast. Just seems like we're attacking their goal time after time, and they're not necessarily getting on our side of the field. That speaks a lot to the aggression and the way that the team's playing this year. What does that look like for both of y'all?
So I feel like it's kind of one of those things where it's like, one of our games, we kind of outshot a team 29-2. It's like we get so many, and it's just being able to kind of like finish that and attack them and really put them panicking, even in scrimmages, like whenever I'm playing defense and our wingers are just kind of like complaining about us always being up. Like, it's really effective. It kind of really catches them off guard. They don't really know how to react. I think it's really beneficial and adds like a new dynamic. Yeah,
and I think, again, that next step for us in that final third is just being able to keep our composure and then capitalize on some of those opportunities that we do have to be able to score a few more goals and score them a little bit earlier in the game, so that way we don't feel we have to be as rushed or as pressed moving forward throughout the course of the match.
With those attacks and with that, especially those shutouts, that was the 15th match in a row at Spratt Stadium without a loss. That's a big deal, and obviously, as someone who you coached last year, had that historic run last year, it's a big deal. But Ava, you coming in and transferring into this team, what has that been like coming into a very successful program over these past few years, and how have you integrated? What has that been like?
Oh, yeah. I feel like I want to give a big kudos to the girls. It makes it a lot easier to be integrated in, and the coaches, obviously. But it's just been a super cool environment to come into. They care about the athletics here so much. I think that adds a big emphasis on it, like us getting a new sports coach, us like kind of like having all these like amenities given to us. It's like we're getting rewarded, we're getting recognition for it, and I think that only makes us hungrier for wins because we want to prove ourselves that we're better than, or even better than last season. We're going to push harder, do it again, maybe even get further in the tournament, fingers crossed. I think it's really cool, and it's really fun to kind of like have this new like outlook on the season, and it's a big change, but I have liked it so far.
Yeah, again, going back to the 2 years so far of being able to kind of defend our home turf. Again, I think that goes a long way. I think that's the buy-in. I think that's the work ethic. I think that's the pride of, putting on that jersey and knowing what it means to represent and perform for Missouri Western. So, again, we're really proud and pleased. We want to continue to take those steps. We don't want to kind of get complacent and continue to stay hungry. There's a lot we can still clean up and a lot we can still do better. And so, we'll be able to attack this week again and be ready for the next challenges on the road.
Yeah. Going back to this past weekend before we get into a little bit of a preview, it was also Pink Weekend, and for those of you that aren't here or watching visually, Ava has a little bit of pink in her hair, as did most of the girls on the field during the game. It seems like a fun environment. It seems like a fun environment on that sideline. It seems like everybody's coming together great. Obviously y'all are having fun, have those ideas to be able to do that. Has that played a large part in the success so far, I guess, from a coaching point and a player standpoint?
Yeah, I think so. We want their personalities to shine, and to stand out and allow them to be who they are. I think that just goes a long way. And, when you are more comfortable or when you feel like, you can be yourself, I think that allows you to not play uptight or play scared or on eggshells. And so I think that's allowed us to be able to have those performances that we have, and I hope, coming from a player's perspective, that they kind of feel the same way in regards to how we approach that.
Yeah. Do you feel like it does?
Oh yeah, even in the locker room, we're all like bringing hairspray, even if you don't have your hair already dyed like I did. You have people having hairspray. People are buying like glitter to put in your hair. We have tinsels everywhere. Everyone's like braiding each other's hair. We have our music going on. We have our DJ. Everyone's just like having a good time in the locker room before the game even starts, and then we're ready to kind of turn it on because we're in a good mood. We're not anxious about the game. I think it's really fun, and it's kind of like even the highlight of game days is just being able to hang out with everyone, have fun, spray paint my hair, just have fun with it. It's kind of like an excuse to go a little crazy. I have fun. I like it a lot.
Like you mentioned, big road trip coming up this week. 2 big matches. First, starting off with Northeastern. They've only been shut out twice this year, and we've had quite a few shutouts. But also, they've been a little all over the place whenever looking at some of their matches. What's the plan of attack whenever you attack a team that has been successful on offense?
Yeah, they're one of the tricky ones because they like to play a lot more direct. So, whereas we kind of try to knock it around and kind of possess a little bit, they'll definitely try to get forward and kind of go quickly. So it almost becomes a little bit more of a track meet. So again, we have to be sharp. We have to win 50-50 balls. We have to make sure that we're not giving them opportunities. And then if we have the opportunity to transition or counter on them a little bit, to then take advantage of that. If we can kind of take the air out of their sails early with hopefully scoring a goal or just being able to maintain possession and kind of tire them out, I think we'll be in a good spot when it's all said and done.
Yeah. Of course, that is on Friday. And then Sunday, we have a big in-conference matchup with Central Missouri, team that was ranked number 1 in the MIAA rankings going into the year. They've been a little up and down this year, 5-2-3 on the year, but obviously a little bit there with that coming from last year. What's the plan of attack with them? How do you approach a match like that, both from a mental standpoint as well as a game plan? Yeah,
obviously they have their history and tradition. They're a above average squad, and they've played a really strong non-conference schedule, so they're seasoned and ready to go. They've graduated a few pieces from the past, but they're still, UCM. So, obviously we'll focus on that one after Friday, but, we just have to come out sharp. We have to come out, we can't come out flat. We have to make sure that we're communicating and performing at a high level. And then at the end of the day, like I said, I think, we can match and we can be where we want to be and play some good soccer and a good brand. And, hopefully we'll be able to take advantage of some opportunities that we create. Yeah.
I haven't gotten a chance to go down there for a match at all. What's the environment like, especially with a team that's been successful like them? Is it a hostile environment? Is it kind of...
Yeah, they have a nice grass facility, and their fans are fairly close. So it's nice. Last year, last year when we were there under the lights, it's a good environment. So, we just have to, again, control the controllables and again, just come out and lean on each other, help each other out, and again, play for one another.
Yeah. Speaking of environment, we've had a new addition to Spratt Stadium this year within the environment. Coming from our athletic band, shout out to Adrian and the athletic bands over here.
Definitely.
That has to be crazy down on the field. I feel like I only see that in pros, and I couldn't imagine being an opposing team coming into that.
I think it's great. I know sometimes, the players, it makes it a little bit challenging to communicate. But to me, it's like you're at a sporting game or you're at a current game just because of the energy that they bring. And so, big shout out to them. Big shout out to the cheer squad as well. Like I said, it's awesome to see that and to have that support. And it's not, you don't get that at a lot of places. And so again, to me, that's just another thing that makes our game day feel our environment a whole nother level. So I don't know, as a player, if you can elaborate on that a bit.
No, I think it took a little bit to get used to, but I think it's so fun just being able to see them all there. You kind of feel a lot of support, a lot of just makes the crowd seem more way more alive. And other teams, whenever I'm on the field, I'll kind of hear other players on the team they're on the other team, they're confused. Yeah, they hate it. They're they don't know what's going on. They're I can't hear anything. And I think that's kind of fun because it's we're used to it. We like it. We kind of groove with it. And the other team's just it kind of throws them off guard. I think it's just really fun. Just kind of have another little step up on some people. They're already coming in away games, obviously, but then having to deal with a band kind of being in your ear when you're not used to it. I think it kind of makes me giggle a little bit.
Yeah, that environment is crazy again up in the booth. You see that directing. I hear them nonstop. I couldn't imagine what it's like down on the field there. But thank you all again, and good luck this upcoming weekend. Big road trip, like we mentioned. On Friday, we got Northeastern down in Oklahoma, and then on Sunday is against Central Missouri and Warrensburg. Hopefully coming out of there with 2 wins, and that's what we're planning on right now. We still got a little bit of show left here. We will be joined by some of our folks over at volleyball after this short break on the GSI Podcast. Welcome back back for our welcome back to the GSI Podcast again. Once again, I'm your host, Jason Holm, for this week, and I am joined by some of our folks over at volleyball, head coach Jessica Fye, as well as senior Emma Soccer. How are y'all doing after this weekend? I mean, we had, of course, Friday, a little bit up and down there, but a pretty dominant win on Saturday, and that was a big celebration for 50 years in women's. So a little recap after the emotions have kind of gone away. What did this past weekend look like?
Jason, I'm still, my blood pressure's still a little high after Friday night's game, I think. I'm not very happy about that one still. I'll keep it PG. I think that we were the better team on Friday, and I thought that we controlled the tempo of sets 1 through 4, and we just weren't able to close out end game opportunities. So we just have to be a little bit more comfortable in a smaller margin towards the end of the game. When we have a 4-point lead, we were nice and relaxed, and then when we get to like a 2-point lead or a tied game, you can see the tension. We get a little bit tighter out there. So. It's just, it's just like daggers in my heart. I still get I'm starting to sweat right now talking about it, honestly. I'm just disappointed. I'm proud of them because they played so well, but it's just like I feel like last year we did the same thing when they were at our place. We were up 2-1 going in the fourth set. We had a lead in the fourth set, and then we lost in 5. And so I'm just like, I'm sick of history repeating itself, and I want our mentality to switch to I almost feel like we still have an underdog mentality, and it's just like this is year 3 of us being successful. Like there's no more underdog mentality. Like we deserve to be up there. We're a very good team, and we have to go into those matches thinking that we're the best and that it's not, oh, we're so lucky we won that game. Like that's not it. Like we expect to win those games, and we expect to do big things, and I don't feel like our team mindset is there yet. I think we have to make a big mindset shift to finish out our conference play so we can do that. But I am proud of how we bounced back on Saturday. Yeah. But I do wish that Friday would have been ours. That one still burns me.
Yeah, I know whenever I sat down with you before the season to get some preseason interviews and just talk with you about that, you mentioned just being aggressive, going out there, firing on offense, not sitting back and waiting for points to be given to you, but rather be the one to go out there. And it felt like you mentioned on Friday, it was a little back and forth of that, but I feel like at least watching it on Saturday, we saw finally just stomp them into the ground. Don't let them get back up. Don't let them get back into the game. Just stomp them into the ground. Finish it out with a 3-set sweep.
Yeah, no, that was good. I'll take it. And it was just about the response. Like we obviously watched film that morning. We talked about the match from the night before, maybe a little bit more cooled down than after the game on Friday. And just, like we got to go respond. We got to pretend like, that nothing happened last night, fresh faces, new mindset. We just kind of have to kind of get over it and perform. And then today we're going to hopefully let that loss on Friday burn us a little bit in practice and motivate us.
Yeah. One positive that came out of Friday, and then I'll jump away from that at the end. But, Emma, you had a career high in kills in that game. I know it was a little bit bittersweet, but do you still look at that with a little bit of pride, or is it kind of one of those, the team didn't win, so we got to get better for the next game?
I usually try to focus on the team aspect rather than how I do as an individual. Obviously, yes, it's a great accomplishment, but at the end of the day, we still lost. And I think just growing from that and if we can get confidence, and if someone's not firing on all cylinders, trying to pick them up or maybe pick up a little extra slack versus because we need the whole team versus this isn't an individual. So
yeah.
Yeah, it seems
team wins.
Yeah,
yep.
And to get on a more positive note with that, seeing the team at practice last week on last Monday, there was a familiar face at practice, and it looked like that face was all over the place. And for those of you,
32 of them,
32,
32,
faces. Wow.
And then for those of y'all who didn't see on social media or didn't see it, we had a bunch of tattoos of Coach Fye that the players put together, threw on their faces, threw on their necks, arms, wherever during practice, and she was a little shocked with that. How did that idea come to be?
Well, so a few of my teammates saw it on TikTok, and they were
Shocking.
they were like, this would be really funny if we did it for Coach. And so we ordered them, and we had to pick the right timing. You can't just do it after you get swept or have a pretty bad loss.
Good idea.
We had to make sure like it was the right timing, and after we beat Washburn, it was like, yeah, this is it.
Was Tate McRae playing in that TikTok as well? It seems to be a big hit with the volleyball team.
You know, I don't have TikTok, so I don't know, but I'll have to get that
The only
information.
criticism I have with that is if you would have chosen my roster picture of my senior year, that would have really had me rolling. I might have been on the floor on that one, so that would
was
have been a good one.
the other option.
Yeah.
Yeah. How did you feel about that?
Oh, it was great. It was funny. At first, I had no idea like what was on their faces. Like I honestly thought Kaylee went to the tanning bed and had like got sunburnt and had blisters on her cheeks because she was so far away I couldn't see what it was. And then I saw what it was, and yeah, I don't particularly enjoy those pictures that they chose, but no, it was funny. I'm glad they could have fun.
Yeah, if you didn't catch that, make sure to check out MWSU Athletics on Instagram and the rest of the social medias. We posted that video as well as a lot of other videos with the GSI tag on that. But kind of talking about this weekend as well with 50 years in women's sports, it was a huge deal. We had over, I think, 300 former and current athletes, women's athletes, come back to celebrate that. And there was a great picture of you with 3 of our former volleyball coaches.
Yep.
And what was that feeling to be in the presence and just talk, get advice, and speak to some of those women who laid the foundation to where we are right now?
So it was cool because 2 years ago I met them when their teams got inducted into the Hall of Fame. So it kind of was they were familiar faces at that point. But I was talking to them at the tailgate after our Fort Hays win. And I apologized to them for not catching them after the Kearney win. I went straight to my office. I was a little heated and disappointed and after that game, and they're like, "It's okay, Coach. We were right there with you. We'd been just as pissed as you were." And so I was like, "Woo, thank goodness," and didn't upset them too bad that I didn't catch them after that Kearney game. But no, it was great to see. I was able to catch up with some alumni as well. Some ones that I have coached. I think we have about like 6 or 7 former ones from my era that were here, and then some ones that were inducted in the Hall of Fame. They came back for it, so I was able to talk to them and kind of swap some stories with them at that. But I think it was cool. And then when we went on the field too, I thought it was a really impactful moment when they played that video. I didn't know there was going to be a video like that played, and I thought that it was really neat to kind of see where it started versus where it kind of got to, and then you could hear the hoots and hollers from the women on the field whenever their team was on the screen. So I thought it was cool, and I hope that it was impactful for our athletes just to kind of see how far they've come and the women that maybe didn't have what they have. And so I think that I hope that you guys enjoyed it. I did.
Yeah, from an athlete standpoint, what was that like, seeing all of them both before the game at the tailgate as well as during y'all's matches and down on the field?
It was so awesome because the amount of support they showed, even though they don't know you directly. And it was almost like a pride thing, like this is the college and team they played for, and now you're wearing the numbers they used to wear. And they just have the greatest amount of support, and they want you to do so well, and it's so cool.
Any crazy stories you're able to share on the podcast that they showed you, or is that more of a low-key in between some former alumni right there?
Oh, gosh. I'm sleep deprived, so that's probably not a good question right now. I don't want to botch the story.
That is all right. We've got a weekend for volleyball. Looking forward to Arkansas Fort Smith coming up. They're 10-5 on the year. Getting into that conference play, you mentioned those are important games. During that practice before conference play, you mentioned these are where it matters. This is where everything comes down to. What's the plan of attack? What are you looking like going into Arkansas?
Yeah, I haven't watched them a ton. They're a very different team than they were last year. They had a lot of turnover after last year, so I want to say I recognize 2 names on the roster, so definitely a little bit different. I got eyes on like half a set before I got here, but they look like they're a good team. That coach has been there a long time and seen a lot of success, so unfortunately, there's not very many bad teams in our league right now, and with the sport of volleyball just growing, there's just so many great players out there. So everyone deserves our full attention and our preparation. So it'll be our first time going there and playing in that gym, first trip, first everything. So hopefully we get a better idea of what they're going to look like. As the week goes on, but they were good last year. We had them at home. I want to say, did we go 4 or did we sweep them? 4 maybe, I think. So, so I think it'll be a good game. I think we're definitely going to have to play well, earn our side of things. So,
from a player standpoint as well, they seem to not have a lot of close matches. They either get absolutely killed, or they kill the opposing team.
Yeah.
Does that kind of go back to your point of like getting on them early, earning those points, and attacking them, and getting out front so you're making sure you're not playing catch up and doing that?
Yeah, for sure. I think we always start our matches very strong. Our Achilles heel so far this season has been finishing the work we've done at the beginning of the sets. So we have to be able to find a way to stay composed and stay on top through 25 points.
Yeah. And Emma, do road trips kind of affect y'all as players? Do they affect y'all negatively, or what kind of impact does that have, having to take that trip down and be on a long bus ride?
I wouldn't say they really affect us because whether we're at home or going somewhere, it's the same mentality of we're going to get here, we're going to get in, and we're going to get it done. And we have to have that killer instinct to want to finish, to want to win, and sweep every game is like the goal. And obviously knowing if they're better than like their record shows, like when like you start conference, you're basically 0-0 with everybody. So we're not really worried about the record, but going in there and like doing what we came to do.
Yeah, and good luck to both of y'all on that match this upcoming week. Y'all can tune into that on the MIAA network. If you do not have that, make sure to tune in on the Varsity app as well. We will be right back with our final segment of the show. Thank y'all both for joining us, and we'll see you in a minute.
Thank you.
Welcome back to the GSI Podcast. I am joined with our head football coach, Tyler Fenwick, for this final segment of the show. And, Coach, I hate to bring it up. It's one of the things we got to ask, but especially the emotions 2 days in between this previous weekend. Tough loss against Emporia State this previous weekend. Can you give a little breakdown, especially 2 days removed, whenever you've had some time to sit on and think outside of the immediate emotions?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it was a total disaster. Embarrassing the way we played. And honestly, I don't know that we responded really well when we got hit in the mouth early on. I mean, we offensively we came out, went 3 and out. Threw an interception, gave the Emporia a short field. They scored pretty quickly, and then we came back and we go 3 and out, and then we give up a blocked punt. And I think after that, I felt like it was just like, oh boy, what did we just? And what just happened? I think we had some guys kind of just panic a little bit and flinched a little bit. And I don't know that all of a sudden you're down 28-0. In the first quarter, and it's like an avalanche just came through and just wiped us out. And, those are tough to overcome. But I think I sit there and I go, we haven't been in a situation like that before. We've been in tight ball games. We've lost games at the end in the fourth quarter, opportunities to win. And I just don't know. That's a new territory that we're going to have to talk about today. First of all, let's not put ourselves in those positions. But at the same time, we got to sit there and we got to play. We got to lift each other up. We got to stay positive. We got to kind of get those competitive juices flowing a little bit. And I think we kind of backed down. I thought we got out physicaled throughout the game. And I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that we just kind of some bad things happened early on, and we just couldn't get out of it. Obviously it's disappointing. It's frustrating. But. Now we're sitting here with a whole nother set of problems where my job as the head football coach is to take those set of problems and let's go find solutions. And, I don't know if those solutions are overnight fixes, but, there's a long-term plan, hopefully not too long-term, but we got to make some strides pretty quick.
Yeah, making some strides pretty quick on that. And like you mentioned, just some frustration it looked like on the sideline, at least especially from the players' standpoint as well. It did look like, there was some of that. Didn't know how to respond in that moment whenever you got down big.
You basically relate it to, all of a sudden you walk in and you get hit in the face and you're just like, what just happened? Why did that happen? What all these questions like what's going on? And that's kind of what happened to us.
Did you see a response from any of the players on the sideline? I know some of those guys like Trey Holmes gets very emotional on the sideline, very energetic, and he looks like he's one of those leaders out front that is out there motivating his team. What response did you see from the players on the sideline? Was there any positives, negatives?
Yeah, well, we have guys that I think we have a group of guys that are really good leaders that care, that are very invested in the program, like a Trey Holmes and a lot of others. I met with 5 guys yesterday afternoon and just kind of sat down and just me and 5 players that are guys that are invested that that have been around, and we just kind of talked and kind of broke some things down, just kind of one-on-one or 1-on-5, I guess, and and had some good talks and just kind of some things I wanted to know. What's the locker room like? What was the locker room like before the game? What's the locker room like right now? What's the and just from a player's perspective, because they all leave the locker room and they, after a loss like that, and it's very easy for 100 guys to go disperse and start talking negatively about whatever, and starting to put blame here and put blame there and all that stuff. And I don't know that that's really happening. I think we've got some guys, and I think we've got leaders that if they do smell that, they jump all over it. And I think that's really important, because when you do have 100 guys, 150, whatever we got, it's you have guys that are seasoned guys that are have played, have invested. You have guys that are young guys that are sitting there going like, what's going on, that have never played and it's not their turn yet. And so there's just a lot of different groups, and they all go their different ways into their dorm, into their house off campus or whatever it is. And you got to make sure that your leaders are all on board and that they're good and that they see, what is going on and where we need to fix things, rather than just pointing fingers and all that stuff. And our guys aren't really pointing fingers. We're just trying to find solutions to problems.
Yeah, and it looked like you talked about some of those new guys in there. Obviously not entirely new, as he had experience, but Cody Kirk jumping in there at the end of that, getting a touchdown pass. It seemed like one of those games at the end, you get an experience, getting some of that adversity to some of those guys who hadn't seen it before. What was kind of the decision process in getting some of those guys experience and seeing that turnaround?
Well, I mean, with Cody's got such a big arm, and we knew we were going to throw it. There was no point where I sat there and said we're going to back down. We're not going to teach our guys to back down. I mean, even at halftime we're down 35-7. And it was everybody was kind of like, it was very somber. It was very much. And usually we go in and everybody, get some water and go use the bathroom, and they kind of go their separate ways, and the coaches go and start working on the second half game plan. And so as soon as we got into the locker room, I brought the whole team up and made sure that stuff's not, we can't sit here and give up the next 30 minutes. We got to figure out and lift our spirits up a little bit and just say, hey, it's 0-0. Whatever just happened, let's put it aside and let's go attack. And so you kind of felt a little bit more energy in the locker room, and then when it got to the fourth quarter, with putting Cody in there, it was just maybe a spark, or just something where he's got a big arm and push it down the field and all. Not that Kane can't do that. Kane played fine. So I didn't pull Kane out just because he wasn't playing well. Yeah. It was just a situation where, like, if Kane does go down at any point during the season, well, those are valuable reps for Cody to go in and get those reps.
Yeah, just changing something out to see if some, like you mentioned,
yeah,
get that spark there. And looking forward to this upcoming Saturday. We'll be at Nebraska Kearney for that game. And you talked about some of those guys sitting down with those 5 leaders on the team. They're 4-2 this year. Nebraska Kearney is. What's the game plan look like for them? How do you rebound from this past weekend and go forward?
Honestly, I mean, how you rebound is, first of all, you got to find the guys that are gonna, that you got to find the 22 best guys you can put on the field and roll with them, and maybe that's 25. We're gonna have to put 11 and 11. I mean, we can't go into there with 10, so we got to find at least 22, and then, maybe that's 30 guys or whatever. But we're gonna go into this with the guys that are invested, that know what they're doing, that we can trust to put on the field, and we're going to let them go compete. And, with the game plans being put together right now, I know they're big up front. They're going to play a bunch of man. They've got offensively, they do a lot of weird stuff, a lot of stuff that you got to really be tuned into, formations and motions and run past stuff and all that. So we've got to. I mean, it's like any other week. I mean, you got to figure out what they're trying to do and how they're attacking, and try to put our guys in position so they're not making mistakes.
Yeah, and talking about that, attacking their defensive front, like you said, a lot of man, big and heavy up front. Yeah. It's one of those, you got to win those one-on-one battles. Yeah. Is that something that's being focused on?
Oh, absolutely. The best guys, I mean, that's absolutely that's going to be a huge emphasis this week. I mean, we've got to be more physical in the one-on-one matchups anyway. We weren't very physical on Saturday. And so that's something that we have to emphasize. Just when it's a one-on-one receiver versus DB, we've got to be more physical with it, and we've got to find a way to come up with the ball in contested throws. Defensively, we got to break up more balls.
Yeah, and for those of you who want to watch the game and tune into that won't be traveling to Nebraska, that will be on the MIAA network this upcoming weekend, Saturday in Nebraska Kearney. Make sure to tune in for that game there. We'll hop out of this real quick and end off with a week preview. Thank you, Coach, for hopping in here, and good luck this weekend.
Yeah, no problem.
Yep.